All right, so I just did a video on being prepared to be self-employed. Here I want to do one on why, just exclusively on why I'm so optimistic about the stock market. Now that doesn't mean I think we're gonna get 12% rates of returns or anything like that. Come on, buddy, you gonna do this or what? But I have no idea. But let's talk about earnings. What drives stock prices? Earnings, that's it. Earnings drive stocks. What's the biggest hit to earnings? Is employment, cost of human labor. By far and away, the biggest hit to a P&L statement, profit and loss statement, is human labor. By far and away. Thanks, dead snake. So if a company wants to increase profits, what do they look at to decrease? They want to increase profits, what do? They try to decrease expenses. If my number one expense, come on, let's go this way. My number one expense is labor. What am I having a huge incentive to do? Is decrease labor cost. How do I do that? I find a way where I can use machines to do what before a human being did. Because once I get over the startup cost of the machine, it'll be basically, other than maintenance, it'll be a hell of a lot cheaper than the human. So let's just go into pure, price versus earnings. All right, so basically I say, if it costs, you gonna poop there or what, dog? If it costs $70 to gross 100, what's my net? All right, so I invest 70, make 100, my net is 30. Who's better positioned? That person or someone who costs $30 to gross 80? Who's better positioned? The $30 to gross 80 nets me what? 50. So the person who is netting 50, regardless of the price that he sells, is ahead of the person who is netting 30, even though the price is higher. Does that make sense? So you're able to charge 100, now net you 30, because it costs 70, you charge 100. I'm able to charge 80, and it costs me 30, which means I'll net 50. Who's gonna win in that price competition there? Good boy, Pablo, yeah. Let me pick up his poopy, because I'm a good citizen. I got my bag here. Who's going to come out on top? Well, the consumer, we know that because the prices will go down. Good boy. Let's go get a treat. We know the consumer is going to get that. It's going to net out. But you know who else nets out? The company, because the company has more profits. Who else nets out? The shareholders, because there's more profits. So the shareholders nets up, they might be able to get a bigger dividend. They might just get more profits on a price to earnings capacity, higher stock price. The consumers net out because they have a cheaper cost for the good. And guess who else nets out? The employees. The employees who stay, who are still needed, there will be always some people that need it, will net out because they'll make higher money, more profits. More money for the fewer employees is a net to everybody. The other people who were put out because of machines, well, they're going to have to find something else. That's just a fact. I'm not. Trust me. Oh, I meant to ask this guy I just talked to. I forgot to ask him that. I got nothing but empathy for those people. But there's nothing to do. It's happening. It's happening. But in terms of stocks versus bonds, what can bonds do, man? Bonds are done. 2% bond. It's either going to go, there's only three things that can happen with bonds. The prices go up because the only way prices go up is interest rates go down. Interest rates can't go down much more. I mean, they could a little bit, but it won't be much. The prices stay flat, which means you only get 2% on a bond. Or the prices go down because interest rates go up. Bonds are a risky proposition, man. Real estate. Now, the one thing that makes real estate still somewhat attractive relative to bonds is that real estate is there's under supply. And I'm not saying a huge demand, but definitely under supply relative to a demand. And we can even say a flat or small growing demand. But there's not as much real estate supply as there probably ought to be. And as such, when supply is low and demand is flat or up, prices go up. All right, so you can see real estate going up. But one of the reasons demand is increasing is because low interest rates make housing more affordable than it would be if interest rates are higher. That's just a fact. So where is that going to go? If you look historically, real estate's inflationary. That's it. It stays around inflation. Now, if you would have bought in Silicon Valley in the 1970s, you did well better than inflation. If you would have bought in where my wife grew up, you got well worse than inflation. That's the nature of real estate. It's literally contingent on location. So it's not something you can hang your hat on. So we got bonds, niet, as we say, as we're Putin stooges. We got real estate, yeah, all right, some degree, but you're not going to get much relative to inflation unless you happen to choose the right real estate. And who would have known Greenville, South Carolina 20 years ago, or Chattanooga? Who would have known you could invest in those places? Back those were pits. And now look at them, they're booming. So the people who got in did well. But who knew you could do that? Very few people, probably the politicians. And then stocks. I mean, gold, yeah, okay, gold could do what gold does. But stocks are the only game in town, man. Only game in town. Because stocks have ways to go, they have unlimited upside and limited downside. You can only go to zero. The upside is unlimited because we know for a fact as earnings grow, well, we don't know for a fact, we can assume as earnings grow, the prices will grow as well. As profits grow, the prices will grow as well. Sometimes as profits grow, the dividends grow as well, and that compounds on itself. So that's why I'm bullish on stocks. An economy built around independent contractors, more nimble, fewer workforce, cheaper prices. I mean, look, it's a great unknown, but I'm bullish on it because on top of that, the alternatives are so bad. As they cut the supply, as they cut the cost of labor, it just means more profits. More profits means you can decrease the price, which makes us all better off. Kind of sick, I know, but I remember the first lesson I ever learned when I started investing. I think it was GM or something like that had laid off 15,000 employees, and the stock price went through the roof. I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. It's a sign of bad things, right? They said, well, the labor is the biggest cost. When you're laying off labor, you're inherently increasing your profits. So that's nuts. But I learned that. Hey, guys. All right, we'll see you. Hey, Lucy.